Hey Buns, well, in case you haven't heard, because you're living under a moon rock, we are going to the moon in 6.0. We found that out during the announcement showcase that happened over the weekend, one that I stayed up all night and well into the early hours of the morning to stream. But now that I've had a chance to rest up and gather my thoughts on all my various theories that I have, I wanted to do a bit of a recap and share all those theories with you today. The first new job we are getting is Sage, which is a shield healer, and we can see it in the CGI trailer as Alphino has switched to Sage, which makes me wonder, as a person who plays Summoner, are we going to get to adopt his carbuncle that he apparently doesn't need anymore? The Moonstone Carby. I mean, that would be thematically appropriate. Though I was genuinely shocked by some of the reactions from people who were disappointed that it's not Chemist. I mean, first of all, we have Alchemist already. I know it's a crafter, but it's the exact same aesthetic as what people wanted for Chemist. And like for the people that wanted a scientific vibe, I think Sage has that, and even more so than Chemist. Like you can see the ether gauge there on the belt. And I mean, this is next level technology. This is like much more advanced than mixing potions together and throwing potions at people's heads. It's somehow more fantasy and more scientific than Chemist would have ever been, and more unique. I mean, these new liths, that's the name of these weapons, the new liths are shooting bullets, they're knives, they're energy shield generators. I mean, Alphino is done playing. I knew that ever since that scene in Yulmore where he told off Valkyrie and he got that attitude, like he's changed. Now, I don't normally play healer too much, and I'm probably not going to be changing my main to Sage, but with just how cool it looks conceptually, I mean, I could definitely envy Sage myself playing healer more on it. Concerning the second job that they have planned for release in Endwalker, they did confirm it will be a melee DPS, but that's all they had to say about it. They said that they will reveal it at the Digital Fan Fest in May. However, in case this happens to be your first rodeo at Fan Fest, you may be confused as to why everyone is obsessing over Yoshida's choice of t-shirt. There's a good reason for that, as he has a history of hinting heavily at future jobs through his t-shirt choice. For example, he hinted at Red Mage with a Scarlet Witch t-shirt, Dark Knight with a Batman t-shirt, Machinist with a 007 t-shirt, and recently, Samurai with a Spider-Man t-shirt, which was a reference to the original director of the trilogy, Sam Raimi. If you say that in Japanese, it sounds like Samuraimi. At the time I heard that theory, I thought it was a stretch, but I turned out to be wrong, so sometimes it's a little obscure. So when I saw Yoshida's t-shirt of a skeleton, I got extremely excited, and I immediately thought, Necromancer. Necromancer, I confirmed. But I kind of felt like maybe they wanted to deter some of that. Previously, they had said that the common guesses had been wrong.
So we've been checking out, what people have been speculating the new job to be, and the guesses have been kind of off for the most part.
Necromancer was a very popular common guess, so I think that that's something that kind of makes it less likely. Also, there's lore problems, obviously, with Necromancer. I mean, the Warrior of Light is a fundamentally, morally good character, and Necromancy is evil. Like, I don't think there's any way around it. Yes, there is that one character in that one dungeon who happens to be a Necromancer, I know, but I just feel like it's a bit of a stretch as much as I wanted it to be a thing. Koji also said, well, translating from Yoshida, it's not going to be that wrestler, no. And I had to ask someone who speaks Japanese why they were suddenly talking about wrestlers. Apparently, some of the viewers were memeing about the second job being a sumo wrestler, and that is not it. So not sumo, and not a popular guess. So what is it then if skeleton doesn't mean Necromancer? Then it might be a reference to the Grim Reaper and his iconic weapon, the Scythe. Now, the Scythe is a recurring weapon type throughout the Final Fantasy series, and at the live letter that took place after the announcement showcase, Yoshida put on a different shirt, this one more explicitly showing a Grim Reaper carrying a scythe on it. So I think that's pretty heavy hinting there. More to it. If you look closely at this CGI trailer, you can see a long hilt leaning against the throne that Xenos is sitting on, and we can only see the back of it, but keep in mind that this trailer, like, this is the first part that we will see, if it's anything like the Shadowbringers trailer, which I think we all assume. In the next Fan Fest, the Digital Fan Fest, we'll see more of this trailer, more parts of it. And so maybe in the future parts that we see, we'll actually see the full weapon. And this is, you know, a teaser. Listen to the narration at that part too. It specifically mentions blades dark and light.
Past the far edge of fate, bring blades dark and light, tolling the coming of the end.
When it talks about the blades dark, it's zoomed in on Xenos, and when we mention the light blades, we're zoomed in on Warrior of Light, the Paladin. So I believe this is a dark blade, a scythe of some kind, wielded by Xenos, who has moved on from his katana phase. He's unsubbed from Crunchyroll, and he's in a new phase now. But is it a goth phase? How dark is this blade, is my question. Because here's the other thing. It can't be the same as Dark Knight. It needs to depart from that thematically. And I wonder if it would be more of a job that maybe uses black magic in some way. Consider also that this is a job that will be available to players, to the Warrior of Light. So it can't be so unbelievably evil that you wouldn't be able to pick it up too. So I started doing some research on various Final Fantasy moon-dwelling characters, and the 2010 Nintendo DS game, Final Fantasy The Four Heroes of Light, features someone who was the last survivor of the moonfolk named Cringe. Yeah, his name is Cringe. He wields not quite a scythe, but a long, curved scimitar-type weapon. Consider also Magnolia Arch, another Lunarian from Bravely Second End Layer, who wields a long, curved glaive. Like that scimitar and like that glaive, the scythe is a weapon that has a long, curved edge, like the shape of a crescent moon, which is perfect thematically for this expansion, not only for its moon-like shape, but also as the blade of the Grim Reaper, which, as the trailer says, tolls the coming of the end. Seems likely that Xenos got such a weapon from his new best buddy, Fan Daniel, who has already established his connection to the moon with his lunar Bahamut pet, and we've seen other Ascians on the moon in previous cutscenes. But is it possible to learn this power? Not from a Scion. As I said before, it will of course be possible for us to pick up the scythe as well, assuming I'm right about all this. So, therefore, I believe that there are friendly creatures on the moon. And here's where my theory flies off the deep end, so like buckle in. I'm sure some of y'all can already guess what I'm about to say. We know that Final Fantasy IV is a huge inspiration for this expansion, being centered as it is around the moon. So much so that the commemorative items that you can choose to get for the digital fan fest include, for example, some Final Fantasy IV characters as minions. Now, I'm about to give some FF4 spoilers. If you don't want to hear those, you can just skip to the next chapter. I'll put video chapters here. But in Final Fantasy IV, like I said, a game this expansion is inspired by, there are bunnies called Hummingway on the moon. And while some of them can speak, most of them simply hum, hum, hum. They make humming noises. I believe that this is the explanation for Yoshida's first shirt, which said, "No comment," as in unwilling or unable to speak words. So perhaps they are the ones that will teach us the ways of the moon glaive or the moon scythe. Or maybe the job is Reaper, and you will learn that from doing your island sanctuary, because you reap what you sow, and so you'll be doing some gardening. It's actually just Botanist 2.0. Moving right along, I was really touched when Yoshida said that he saw Final Fantasy XIV as his life's work. Like, as a Final Fantasy XIV creator, like, I don't have plans to go anywhere, but it was still like, it made me feel very secure in what I'm doing too. I mean, it's like he's in it for the long haul as well, and it made me feel very reassured. It's like, if he's holding, I'm holding to the moon. Radzad Han is the smaller town that we're getting. They said in scale it'll be about the size of Yulmore, and it is beautiful. I mean, it has this Indian architecture. It seems to be in like an Amazon river basin type area. It's gorgeous, and it exists in Thavnair. Thavnair is the name of the zone we're traveling to, which you may recognize as being the name of like the Thavnarian robe. You may have heard Thavnair in Dance Request. It is the homeland of the dancer job, and it basically is the mecca for all of the best glamours in the game. Like, all the sexy glamours are from Thavnair, so I have high hopes for the glamour in game in this expansion. It's actually one of the reasons why it's hard for me to consider not continuing to main Dancer in the expansion if we're going to Thavnair. I mean, it's like Dancer home. The next location that they showed us is Garlemald. And if you recall my streams, I had said that I was very much hoping it was not a Garlemald expansion, as I'm really over the Castrum vibes. Like, we've seen so many of these little Garlean outposts. We've had dungeons of this. Like, I feel like I've seen it 1,000 times, and I wanted something different. And boy, did they deliver. Like, Garlemald is... Can you really say that we're going to Garlemald if it has been completely incinerated? Like, we're going to what's left of Garlemald, and it's... who would even be left after something like this? It looks bad. It looks real bad what happened. It got nuked, basically. Now, I thought that this was like a nuclear winter because you see some snowy pictures, but apparently Garlemald was always really cold, so it's not that. As for what the large town is going to be like, they said they can't talk about that yet, which makes me believe that maybe it's on the moon. Maybe it's it's a cave full of bunnies on the moon. Where exactly is the Warrior of Light walking at the start of the trailer? What is that bubble of light? Is he walking into a city? A bubble city on the moon? I don't think so. I'm just asking. We're speculating here. The elephant people, or the Matanga, are the new beast tribe race, and I think they're quite cute. But I saw this on Reddit, and I have to share it with you. It was posted by Constellare, and it's a snippet from the Encyclopedia Eorzea. It says, although their reason is unclear, the Matanga despise the Aura with a fury. Their hatred runs so deep that when they attack the Azam Steppe natives, it is not for food or plunder, but for the sole purpose of killing Aura. Naturally, the proud Zala natives do not shrink from a fight, and often the would-be slaughterers find themselves cut down in a vicious counterattack. Yet no matter how decisively the Aura punish their tormentors, the Matanga return again and again, as if driven by some inexorable force. It says, Aura better be careful in Razadhan. So, I think, look, this is specifically speaking to the Matanga tribes that are in the Azam Steppe, and I think those are gray and naked. These are blue, and they have clothes, so they're probably more chill. They're probably less aggressive, but it would be hilarious if they're really nice to everyone except our players. But I mean, look at them. They seem really chill. I mean, they've got the colorful robes on, the kind, gentle eyes, and I mean, they look spiritual or religious even. Though I wonder if that's the case, how would they share their teachings? Is there television in Razadhan? And if so, would there be televangelists? That was not worth the setup. That was not worth the setup at all. I got another one for you. If you didn't like that one, you won't like this one. So I was talking to this Matanga the other day, and I was like, don't those tusks make it hard to kiss? And he said, yeah, I can't use my tongue. We got some art and screenshots of the new dungeons, one from what looks like Thavnair, but it's on fire. A lot of places are on fire in 6.0. Like, if you look back at the CGI trailer, the map doesn't look good. Like, most of the map is on fire. And at the end of the trailer, you see, like, there's an explosion behind the moon where the world is. Like, is it exploding in fire? The other dungeon screenshot is super cool. Like, I love the artwork for this, and it's mirrored almost perfectly in the in-game screenshot. It's like this biological horror aesthetic that I think draws heavily on the artwork of H.R. Geiger, which we see this also in the trailer in the place where Xenos and Fandaniel are. It's this organic, mechanical horror look. It's super cool. You can also see that same sort of vibe in the FF10 boss Anima that they are recreating for Final Fantasy XIV. They said that the original designer for Anima in FF10 is on the art team for Final Fantasy XIV and recreated the design for Anima to fit FF14. And if you look at the original design, it looks like a sarcophagus. It's chained down, burning. screaming. I mean, it fits that aesthetic I was talking about a second ago, but where could a boss like this come from? Nowhere good. As for the new 8-person raid at Pandemonium, the artwork was very provocative, as that is La Hebrea there on the cover, which is very mysterious indeed. They did say that this was a completely original new story that is not part of the Hydaelyn Zodiarch saga. That Hydaelyn Zodiarch saga that's been going on since the start of the game will be concluded in 6.0. I mean, like the expansion patch 6.0, and then in 6.1 going forward to infinity and beyond, we're starting on a brand new saga. And so this raid series story is separate from that previous saga and more part of the new tale that's being told. So I am extremely excited about this. And, you know, what is Pandemonium? Pandemonium, with this specific spelling, is the name of the capital of hell from Paradise Lost, the epic poem by John Milton. And here's an interesting tidbit for those of you who happen to be maybe Hades stans or interested in that. Pandemonium, being the capital of hell, had a parliament-type building that was designed by the fallen angel architect Mulciber, who had been the designer of palaces in heaven before his fall. Now, if you've played through the Shadowbringer story, you know who the architect is, and I think that's a very interesting connection to make. Is all I have to say about that. As for the new Alliance raid, I'm very happy to hear that it is not a collab. It is going to be a Final Fantasy XIV original Alliance raid in story, centering on a piece of Eorzean lore that's remained steeped in mystery for a long time. Now, those are Koji's words, I guess translated from Yoshida. What mystery could he be talking about? I asked my stream that question yesterday, and somebody suggested maybe it's the Aura egg-laying chamber. We'll find out if Aura lay eggs. I'm sorry. They are actually going to do stuff for PvP. I was really shocked and happy to hear this. They're going to make a small-scale PvP mode, and this could be really big because right now, that's actually the only thing that I can think of that I tell people, hey, if you really like this thing in an MMO, you should probably not play Final Fantasy XIV. Like, if you're really, all you're about is PvP, Final Fantasy XIV might not be the MMO for you. Like, it sucks having to tell people that, but that's my opinion. In the past, some of my friends who tried to get into PvP struggled to do so, even when they were very motivated, because it takes so long to queue for matches. This would solve that problem. So if they can actually make the gameplay fun as well, I mean, that would be big. They said that the role quests will continue in 6.0. In Shadowbringers, if you remember, we had role quests instead of the standard job quests, and it was tank, healer, melee, DPS, and ranged. Now in Endwalker, it will be tank, healer, melee, physical, ranged physical, and magic DPS. So it's going to have 5 different categories instead of the 4 different ones. And they said it will let them focus more directly on each type of role and make a deeper story, which I think is really cool. I mean, interesting decision to separate the ranged support DPS at a time when we're journeying to Thavnair, the home of dancers. So maybe you will actually meet a dancer there in the ranged support quests. Kind of like how for the ranged physical, you were hanging out with a bard, well, archer guy. So we'll see. They said that the crafter-gatherer stories will be like how it was in 5.0 with the crystalline mean. The trust system will get Estinien added, and a lot of people think this is a nod to the influence of FF4, where you had a cool dragoon buddy, Kane, hanging around. Makes sense. The gold saucer is going to get a giant update that said something as big as Mahjong. Everybody was crying for Blitzball. I don't know if it will be that. They wouldn't confirm or deny, but they said it would be a giant addition. The Island Sanctuary is something I'm very excited about. The farm, they said it's slow living, something not limited to crafters and gatherers. Anyone can do it. You are going to have your minions running around. You're going to be growing fruit and stuff. My question is, will I be able to buy turnips there, completing the stonks vibe of this expansion? To the moon! The Ishgard Housing District has been confirmed. However, Honestly, to my dismay, to my disappointment, they are going to do the exact same song and dance all over again. I thought that it would be different this time. I thought that with the Ishgard Housing District, it would be maybe instanced, or it would have some kind of different system, maybe prioritizing crafters who actually built it. But no, they said they're going to have the exact same number of wards as all the other residential districts in Eorzea, as well as having apartments. And then they said, we are continuing our efforts to make sure that there will be enough plots available. So this doesn't make sense to me. We're going to have the exact same number of wards as all of the residential districts, and we're going to make sure there's enough plots available. These two things don't go together. You can't have both of these true at the same time. There's going to be the same number of plots, so we'll make sure that there's more plots. At the very least, at the bare minimum, I would hope that they would add in some kind of a lottery system, maybe, where people can just put in their name to the placard and hope that their name is picked whenever the timer runs out. Because right now, I made a video about this, housing horror stories or something like that, where I talked about all the various ways that players put themselves through incredibly unhealthy situations at the hope of maybe getting a house, and just clicking for hours and hours on it. I'm not going to get into that right now, but yeah, it's going to be the same thing again for Ishgard. The battle system adjustments, they said that they're going to be downscaling values. That is, the stat Squish is coming to Final Fantasy XIV, and they spent like over 10 minutes explaining why this had to happen. Basically, the numbers are too big and it's becoming unwieldy for the system, and it's causing bugs. Like, as good as it feels to do a 200k technical step crit, they need to downscale it so that the numbers are easier to deal with for the system. It doesn't mean that players are going to be getting weaker. The numbers are going down, but relatively everything is going to stay the same. They did say that they're doing this to, quote, keep the lifespan of Final Fantasy XIV going for many, many, many years. And that definitely warmed my heart to hear that. That's many years to come. So yeah, this game is not going anywhere. However, there was one important note. They said that unsyncing content after the stat squish will be harder. So I strongly recommend that before 6.0 comes out, you go get all of your unsync mounts that you want before then, because it will probably be harder and take longer after that. So that means the ponies, puppies, birds, all those that you can unsync farm quickly and easily right now, I would get that done. Check out any of those that you want and handle that before fall 2021. Belts are being removed, and they're going to take the 35 slots that are for belts in your armory chest and put them somewhere else. So you're going to get 15 extra slots in your weapons category of the armory chest, and you're going to get 15 extra slots added to your rings category. So that's an excellent change. There's going to be 5 extra slots that they are holding in reserve while they figure out where they'd best be allocated. One of the biggest, craziest announcements that we got was Datacenter TRAVEL. They said that they want it to work like World Visit. Maybe not exactly the same, but hopefully similar. You would probably still need to log out and change your data center before you log back in. And there will be a lot of restrictions with it, but it should allow you to move freely to another data center and party up with friends, take screenshots and stuff. And actually, you may even will be able to buy stuff from market boards on other data centers, because they were mentioning that some players were worried about what effect that could have on the economy, but they're not worried about that because the world visit system didn't affect economies too badly. And obviously they wouldn't have brought that up unless they plan to allow you to buy things from other data center market boards when you travel. This is a really big deal for me because I live in Europe now, but I have a lot of friends from America, obviously, where I grew up. And so it's going to be pretty amazing to be able to play with some of my old friends that I used to play WoW with back in the day. A lot of them have moved over to Final Fantasy XIV, but we haven't been able to play together, but now we will. At the end of the announcement showcase, the CEO came out and announced the PS5 version for Final Fantasy XIV, which is honestly a pretty amazing bang for your buck, as it supports 4K, has super fast load times, better FPS, and it's like $500. So, I mean, you're not going to build a PC with those specs for this amount of money, especially right now. He said that if you have the PS4 version, you can get a free upgrade, and the open beta starts Tuesday, April 13th. And then the CEO spoiled the release date for 5.5.
PS5 版のオープンベータが開始します。
Yes, the PlayStation 5 version open beta will begin soon.
これ次のパッチと同じ日なんでしょ？
And this is the same day as the next patch, right?
嘘でしょこ
No,
れ
you can't say that.
言ってなかったんだっけ？
言ってないですよ
I
パ
have-
ッチ5.5の日付はちょっとまあ
We haven't mentioned the release date for 5.5 yet. That was
ああ、そう。まあだけど、まあいいよね。
Oh, it's okay, right?
同じ日です。
So it's on the same day.
この日にやります。
あーまあちょっと準備を一生懸命やってきた PS5 版ね
I mean, we've been working on it, yes, but
We've been working on it, yes, but Koji's like, you can't say that. Anyway, yeah, 5.5 is coming April 13th. So that was a nice surprise there. So, Buns, what did you think about the announcement showcase? Are you going to switch mains to Sage? What do you think about all of my theories that I have about the new jobs, about possible races and creatures and things? I'll be honest with y'all, I have not been able to get this song from the trailer out of my head. Like, I've just been playing it over and over in my brain. If you like this video, please consider supporting the channel on Patreon or on Twitch. You can also support the channel for free by clicking the subscribe button or by sharing this video with your fellow Warriors of Light. Oh, I can say that again, right? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.